All right, guys, we're back. Thank you guys again so much for joining us. As we mentioned, you all have an audience of your K through 12 students. Now, is that for the U.S.? Is that international? Like, what does that look like for you all? It's just younger generations in general.
Yeah, so mostly the Midnight Science Club is consumed by people in the United States. That's kind of our main demographic. We speak the same language. We know a lot of the pop culture stuff that's going on in the United States, but at the same time, international audiences will also really enjoy Midnight Science Club content. But we're kind of thinking about a U.S. audience, at least when we're making our content initially. But yeah, it's all ages. All countries can enjoy the stuff that we make. Especially, we try to make a certain series of science demonstrations that we call Midnight Science Snacks, little bite-sized pieces of science demonstration, information kind of things. And we design those demos to be silent and just text-based. So you get to visually see the science demonstration happen with a little bit of supplemental text. And those science demonstrations specifically resonate with everybody.
I think that's awesome. We're also, ACP is focused on the U.S. demographic as well. And, I'm always wanting to talk to other orgs and corporations about their opinion. What's your opinion on why students, how do students feel in general? How do you think students in the United States feel about STEM, and why do they feel that way? And Jake, you can answer that one.
Well, we got to shorten that question. So say that one more time, but sure.
Yeah. So why do you think, how do students in the United States feel about STEM?
Well, if they have a good teacher, they love it. If they don't have a good teacher, it's something to fear and have trepidations about. And that's the key. Right now in the United States, we lose 20% of our science teachers every year. And the average science teacher in the U.S. has about 3.5 years experience. Yet when you check the data, it suggests that a science teacher kind of becomes a master of their trade after about the 7th year. So the challenge right now is more in the hands of teachers than it is students, of finding the young science educators and keeping them in the field. Until we block up that hole, then we can address the student hole thing. But right now it's a mad hunt to find good science educators. And that's like the overwhelming factor, or the overwhelming dynamic in science education in the country right now.
I think that's an excellent point. And I'm sure all three of us have grown up and had the good science teacher or the bad science teacher. And
you know the difference.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. What do you think the difference is?
As Faraday would say, it sounds almost religious, but when a scientist experiences true science, it is an emotional experience, because you realize you're seeing how the universe works. And you say, oh, I'm sitting on the 50-yard line of a huge game, and I understand what's going on. And that is one of the best feelings in the world, is when you get to understand where you're at. You're understanding how the universe operates. And that's so empowering. You say, I'm just a dumb kid from Nebraska, but I understand how galaxies move through space. It is so empowering. If a good science teacher can make all the rest of the subjects so much more tolerable and beloved, just when you inspire kids to have that understanding of the natural world. And that's it.
And we believe that as well. I always think in my mind, I'm visualizing in the classroom, sitting in the classroom and learning a new theory, or I'm learning something new for the day in my science class. What would I like to see the teacher do? What would I physically like to do in the class to learn this new theory? And what you're talking about is this hands-on learning that really helps to evoke that emotional excitement for the student. I mean, if I'm learning an experiment, I want to be all in that thing, touching and moving things around and really getting in there. And that's what Midnight Science Club does. And I absolutely love it. Every experiment, I see the students and I see you guys really in there engaging the students. And I think, the teachers who will be able to tune in, and our audience listeners who are looking at this, I hope that that's something that they'll pick up and learn from you all, that type of learning style.
Well, we're lucky in the fact that our library, our file cabinets, we have about 20,000 to 30,000 in our file, and it's been collected for 200 years. We have a 200-year-old collection. So it's easy for us to find a really neat activity for a particular situation because we've got such a huge file. So it's like the New York Public Library. We got 2 million books. We can probably find what you need. That's the way we've inherited that here.
That's awesome. So let's jump back in here. Jake, we hear Midnight Science Club gives people a backstage pass to science. What do you mean by that?
Well, I always said, I was a fan of Pavarotti, the opera singer, because we look so much alike. And I went to a concert, and I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be neat if he would come down off the stage and ask me to come backstage? I just die. So that what we do is we have real scientists, Nobel Prize winners, astronauts, well-known scientists, and we make sure they can interact with our members. So our kids get to hang out with the Pavarottis of the scientific world.
Wow.
And just they'll find out this guy's just a schmuck like everybody else. He's smart, but he's got bad breath too. and it breaks down the wall. And when they're done, I want the kids to go, well, I could do that. I mean, that's it. Yeah, really, I could do that. That's what the backstage pass is. It's not to go back and do hero worship, or build up your ego. It's to say, I've met these people. They shook my hands. We had a Coke together. We talked about what's better, chocolate chip cookies or pumpkin pie.
Yes.
We didn't talk about science. We talked about pumpkin pie. And that's the best gift you can give to a kid, is to give them access to the personal side of a scientist, the backstage pass.
I definitely agree with that. I absolutely love that. Backstage pass to science. Absolutely love it. We'll start. I'll probably say backstage pass to STEM with you guys.
Well, but the idea is when you're on stage, you have to act a certain way because you're on.
Mm-hmm.
And the person has to maintain their stage presence. But backstage, you'll catch them picking their nose.
Oh yeah.
Wow, this is good. So that's very important. That's why we want to humanize it.
Yes, I love it. I was curious, really wondering if you guys could take us through a short demonstration of how you apply this hands-on learning for your younger generations, for your younger audiences.
Got it. Right here. So, Faraday in 1827 wanted to introduce the concept of science to the king, and the king brought his prince, the crown prince, to the Royal Institution. And he did this very activity. He didn't use balloons, he used bubbles, but we're going to use balloons because they're not so messy. So I've got a piece of pipe with a valve right there. And when I open the valve, I can blow right through the pipe. And then when I shut the valve, it won't go through. And I have two balloons, same size, just different color, out of the same bag. And what's this got to do with science? We'll find out. So I'm going to blow up one balloon. I'm going to stick it on one side. Put a little slobber on there to make it get a good tight seal. I have 5 university degrees. Went to school 11 years. And this is where I'm at now. Go figure. This is it.
You're doing good, Jake. You're doing good.
I know. I'm going to take same size balloon, put it on the other side, but I'm not going to blow it up as far. Just a little bit. Here we go. Let some of it out. And I'll stick it over here on this side. Okay. There it is. Now I put the question to you. What's going to happen when I open the valve?
Okay, let's go back to science in high school, because I think that's all I can remember. I think what's going to happen is the air from the red balloon is going to equalize in the air in the blue balloon, so they'll be the same size.
Oh, there's a fancy name for that. You remember what it is?
No. Equilibrium?
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Woo, yeah.
But see, a scientist, you have to have a beard to be a scientist, by the way. So you can go, oh. They have to think back for their predictions. And they go, let me see, the last time I blew up a balloon, when was the balloon pushing the hardest? Which of these two balloons is pushing the hardest?
The red balloon.
And scientists have to train themselves to think about that and think about that and think about that and think about it. Now, when you blow up a balloon, when is it the hardest to blow?
Initially, mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah.
It really puts back. Which balloon's pushing the hardest?
Pushing.
Resisting.
The pipe. Oh, resisting. Well, I guess then the blue balloon resisting like the airflow or.
See, what you're doing right now is pure science.
Yes, I'm a scientist.
It is pure science. You're trying to figure this out, and you're going, let's see now. Let's see now. Let's see now. And normal kids are going, the heck with that. Turn the valve open. Time. Get to it. Right?
I see.
Well, actually, this balloon's pushing harder. Because its bonds haven't been stretched and broken yet. So when I open the valve, look at that.
Oh, wow.
This one got smaller. It's like, duh. Duh. You say, well, who cares, Jake? Well, when they land certain things on Mars, shipments, they coat the outside of the containers with bags of compressed air. So when they land on Mars, they'll go boom, bada boom, bada boom. They'll bounce around. And then they'll want to open valves to make the thing stand up straight, one way or another. So they have to know which way is that going to go when they open the valves.
When they open the valve.
And it's amazing how our children and old folks too, we're so used to those fast answers. I don't care. Just open. I want to see it. We have to pause and consider. So that was a little bit of science, a scientific thinking, learning how to pause and consider and think back on your past experiences before you make a projection. And that is simple. And the neatest thing was you were not overwhelmed by this, but you were whelmed. You went,
Yes.
And you'll remember this the rest of your life.
Yes, very much so.
Remember this for the rest of your life. Yeah, okay.
Wow.
So we've got thousands and thousands of activities like this to engage kids' minds. And guess what? This is a control system.
Yes.
Right there. This is exactly what you folks do. This just happens to be one.
Yes.
But it gets the idea across of how important a scientific thinking set of skills is to control system.
Yes. And as you mentioned, when these younger audiences, they watch this experiment and then you plug the term controls system in there, that'll stick with them, like you said, for the rest of their lives. Absolutely love it. This is awesome. And just this, like you said, this experiment shows what you were mentioning before, the science skills that you try to press upon the younger audiences and have them repeat in all of your experiments. And I was a product of that and I felt it. It was awesome.
You felt it just for a second.
Yeah, I did. I was like, all right, so let me start writing down my predictions. And I love it. This was awesome. Hands-on learning techniques inside the classroom. That is so important. We discussed what it looks like to be a good science teacher or a good teacher who teaches STEM, and that is one who is invoking the emotions through these hands-on learning experiments. Just like this control system with the balloons that we just demonstrated. Hopefully, again, our viewers will be able to watch this and be able to replicate some of these techniques so that they can really speak to their students as, again, you all do so well. We'll take another quick break and we'll jump back in just a moment.